You are listening to Theoretical Insights of D&D.
Lord, give me a fireball!
Screw how hot your skin is, my bars are hotter. Let me tell you what this is. Let me tell you, you listeners, if you don't know what the zombie has packing in his decaying flesh. You shut up, cancer bones. You gonna be a zombie if that cancer doesn't get cured.
Hey guys, I'm Rob.
And I'm Eric.
Welcome back to another episode of Theoretical Insights of D&D, and today we are doing a bit of a build on the show. We are going to demiplane.com, and we are going to build 2 Daggerheart characters each, somewhat simultaneously, kind of walking through what it's like to go on and build, and kind of compare and contrast to what it's like on D&D Beyond as well, because a lot of people...
It is very similar to D&D Beyond.
It's similar, but it's not quite...
The
it's
mechanics
not
are there, but
overwhelming.
it's not the same, yeah.
It's nowhere near as overwhelming as D&D Beyond because there's a lot of stuff there.
That is true.
So whenever you first load up and make yourself a Demiplane account and you go in, they've got multiple games on there like Pathfinder and Candela Obscura, you'll find Daggerheart. And when you go to create a character there, it shows up that this is still in a beta and there's still stuff that's not here that's going to be. And if there's stuff that you don't necessarily like, if you're 18 or older and taking part in this beta playtest, let them know. And there's actually an option from the character sheet to do that, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Eric, what are you thinking as far as a first level? And here's the question: do we want one of us to make a first level and one to make like a 5th level, or because I don't think we need to go in and make a max level character.
Yeah, I don't think a max level
forever.
would be needed right now.
How about a 1st and a 5th level?
Yeah, we could do a 1st and a 5th.
All right, you want to take the 1st or the 5th?
I think you've done a lot more research on this than I have, so I'll take the 1st.
All right. All right, Eric, if you want to get started, what is your name?
I'm gonna have to go with the classic, Bob.
Hey, Bob's returning for the adventure part, probably 15 at this point.
Probably. Ain't
To
no
be
telling.
completely honest.
I haven't fully decided what I want to make Bob though, because there's so many things that look good.
Hey, you've got a point. When you get over into this heritage tree and you choose an ancestry, which is, pretty much
Yeah.
your race,
Yeah.
there's the Clank, Daemon, Dracona, Dwarf, Elf, Fairy, Faun, Furbolg, Fungrill, Galapa, Giant, Goblin, Halfling, Human, Qatari, Orc, Ribbit, and Simia.
Yeah, they all. I'm thinking Dracona.
Oh, pretty much this is pretty much Daggerheart's version of a Dragonborn.
Yeah, I don't know if you get wings. Yeah.
No,
Resemble wingless dragons. Unless you might get wings later at the higher levels, I don't know.
I know that there is a class with a subclass that gives you the option to get wings, but that's for us to discover in a minute if you choose that one.
Oh, there is. Okay.
There is.
See, I haven't done a whole lot of research on this yet.
Yeah, see, I've sat here and gone through this website I don't know how many times, reading as much as I can. So
I've made a few characters so far, and I like it. Where was the Dracona at? There he is.
All right, so not only is Eric's character, Bob, as a Dracona going to gain the fact that he looks like a dragon, but with this ancestry, he's getting elemental breath. And at character creation, choose one of the following elements to describe your elemental breath. There's fire, ice, lightning, poison, and acid. And you can spend a hope die, and we'll get to that in a little bit. We're not going to go into too much detail because we're saving a lot of this for the full review. But you can spend a hope to make an instinct roll using your breath against an enemy or group of enemies within close range. And you deal D8 magic damage to all enemies you succeed against. So I figure since it's not 1d8, that this is probably something that as you level up, you have the option to make it more d8s.
Yeah, it'll be. I figure it'll be more.
All right. What community is Bob from?
Oh Lord. Hmm. Well, I'm gonna go with ice breath, so I may go with the Seaborn.
The Seaborn's pretty good. I mean, realistically, that would set up for a pretty interesting character because you would gain scoundrel. Sorry, looking at Slyborn.
Yeah, you get safe harbor.
Seaborn. Yeah. Once per session, when you take a longer short rest, you may take one additional downtime action, and
Oh,
we'll
that's
we'll
very
go over
nice.
those in just a little bit for everybody listening, as to what is kind of available to you in a downtime. Pretty much a short or long rest.
Yeah,
So we've kind of figured out what Bob's going to be as far as his ancestry and where he comes from, but what class is Bob?
that's another hard choice. Hmm.
Yeah, because you've got bar. This is a little bit more expansive than what we talked about in D&D, Daggerheart D&D and Pizza. This
Yeah,
is got
they've got some extra things on here that wasn't on there.
yeah. You've got the Bard, Druid, Guardian, Ranger, Rogue, Seraph, Sorcerer, Warrior, and Wizard.
Hmm. An ice dracona from the coast.
What speaks to Bob?
I mean, Bob is just a pretty normal name.
Yeah,
Let's
but
make
he's
him a
not a.
wizard.
Yeah, I was about to say he's not a fairly normal guy. He's
No,
a
he's not going to be a normal
freaking
guy.
dragon. Now the wizard is interesting because with each class you get access to two different domains. With the wizard, you get domains of Codex and Splendor. You have a starting evasion score of 8, and we'll go over evasion in a minute. And the damage thresholds, in which we'll kind of touch on, of minor of 2, major of 7, and severe of 12. So it's got some really interesting things going on for just the wizard. This I have not built a wizard yet, so it's going to be interesting to watch you build one.
Let's see what subclasses we got. School of Knowledge and School of War.
What do those do? Because I have not pulled that up.
Let's see. The School of Knowledge. You've gained priceless knowledge through great study. Whenever you make a knowledge roll to recall information, you have advantage. If this roll is about the magical nature of a creature or an enchantment, your advantage dice for this roll is 1d8. You also gain Adept. You may mark a stress instead of spending a hope to use on experience on a roll. If you do, double the experience modifier when you add it. Okay.
Now, I will be honest. Stress is something that we don't technically fully understand yet.
Yeah.
We will be doing a playtest later this week
I
for our full review that we're going to record in a couple of weeks, and by then we'll have a much better understanding of what stress is, and we'll lay that out for you when we do that.
This adept thing is like when you're betting double or nothing.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like, anyways. I'll
but
take the
it's
stress, but then I'll get more experience if it passes. Top deal.
what about that School of War?
That's what I'm I'm thinking about. It sounds good. Uh,
It would fit
School
a
of War, spellcast is knowledge. You've focused your studies on the shaping of magic in both dangerous and powerful ways. Take an extra armor slot immediately when you make a successful roll with fear. You deal an extra d6 magic damage.
That's actually pretty interesting. So
That
you
is.
take an extra armor slot immediately. When you make a successful attack roll with fear, you deal in that's actually really good because we can get into that a little bit right now, but we'll go into greater detail once we get to the character sheets.
But I think that's what I'm going to select. Yeah.
It's a School of War. All right.
Yeah.
Now, the experiences are something kind of weird. So it's not like D&D in which you get proficiency in like a alchemist kit or brewer supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you can enter an experience such as a background like a bodyguard or con artist or maybe a pirate. Skills like bartering, repairing, or tracking, or phrases that you can use, such as "I won't let you down," "This is not a negotiation," or "I'll catch you." And from my understanding so far, right, whenever you, the player, are trying to do something in game and you're talking to your DM in character, you say, if he says, or you will tell him, say something like, well, I have experience in tracking, so could I make a roll to try and track this creature or this group of people? And if you've got your experience as tracking with either a +1 or 2 beside it, you get to add that +1 or 2 to your roll, is my understanding. Now, I could be wrong, but we'll understand that better. Um,
Yeah.
we'll understand that better later.
I'm trying to figure out my weapons right now.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, here we go. Using experiences. Anytime you make an action roll, if you feel like an experience could help you succeed, you can spend a hope to add its modifier to your roll. So you spend a hope, you get to add the modifier. So that's actually really interesting and actually really good if you think about
Yeah.
it.
It's going to be a good learning curve on some of this, but it sounds like it's going to be good.
So you've gotten to your weapons now.
Yeah, I've got the great staff as of now. I'm looking for a second weapon. Thinking maybe a wand for some range.
That probably wouldn't be a good idea because as you so discovered, your evasion right now, unless you're going to be able to wear some form of armor, is only an 8.
Yeah.
Now, I figure realistically, you're probably going to want to wear one of the lighter armors, so your armor score may not be that good.
Well, it's suggesting a breastplate.
Really?
Yeah. Hmm.
That's not too bad.
So a chainmail would just take my evasion down 1. So it's just like kind of like heavy armor in
Pretty
D&D.
much. Yeah.
Oh, full plate is -2 evasion and -1 agility.
Yeah.
The
That's
breastplate is just a base of 5, so I think I'm just gonna go with the best breastplate.
all right. And
Or I don't know.
we'll explain the evasion and armor once we get to the character sheets, once we're both like looking at them.
I don't know. The leather armor is +1 to evasion. Hmm.
Well, the issue you have with that is, like I said, we'll go over this in a second, but you raise your evasion by 1, but you're losing 2 armor.
Yeah, that is true. But I get the
Because
extra armor from being a war subclass.
that's true. It could be a fair trade.
It may be for that +1 evasion. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. All right.
Let me. I'll just take a health potion.
Now the health potion in this, and we'll explain the hit points once we get to the character sheet. Immediately clears 1d4 hit points. The stamina immediately clears 1d4 stress.
Hmm.
And once again, we're not 100% sure how stress works yet, but we're going to.
Oh, and I'm taking a tiny and harmless elemental pet.
It figures.
Bob will have a pet named Billy Bob.
So from what I remember, your next choice is going to be your domain cards.
Yes.
There's Bolt Beacon, Book of Ava, Book of Iliot, Book of Tifar, Mending Touch, and Reassure. Now, wait a minute. Mending Touch.
Hmm.
This is a wizard, and it heals.
Yeah. Channel healing
That
magic to help to close their wounds.
this is what I've wanted in D&D for years.
But you gotta spend 2 hope and heal one hit point or 1 stress.
It may not be a bad thing because you need to keep in mind. We'll go over that in a second once we both get to our character sheets. But just it's an interesting concept and mechanic that they've got in this game. Hope.
Oh, but once per long rest, you can spend 2 hope and heals 2 points or 2 hit points or 2 stress.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to take that one. Let's see.
You said something about an ice mage.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Book of Ava.
Yep, that's exactly what I was looking at. Well,
It's
as
got
well.
power push, make a spellcast roll against a target in melee range. On a success, they are blasted back to far range and take D10 damage. So let's push back on that. Then you've got Tava's armor. You can spend a hope to give a target you can touch 1d6 to their armor score the next time they spend an armor slot. You cannot stack Tava's armor multiple times on a single creature. And then ice spikes. Make a spellcast roll to summon large ice spikes within very far range. You may also treat them as a ranged weapon against a target or group. On a success, they deal D6 physical damage.
Now, before you go too far, let's explain a little bit about range because I know
Yeah,
that knockback went from melee to very far.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Melee to very far,
Here's what that means. Okay,
or just far
Daggerheart,
range, not very
just
far.
far. Okay,
Yeah,
Daggerheart is not using feet like D&D. It is using measurements something similar to what Savage Worlds and what I figure maybe Pathfinder might use. I'm not 100% sure on that. Melee means the character is within touching distance of the target. PCs can generally touch targets up to a few feet away from them, but melee range may be greater for especially large NPCs. Very close means a distance where one can see fine details of a target. That's about 5 to 10 feet away, or if you're playing tabletop, about 2 to 3 inches. Close is about 10 to 30 feet away. That's 5 or 6 inches. Far, this is how long yeah. It's a distance one can see the appearance of a person or object, but probably not in great detail. This is usually between 30 to 100 feet,
yeah,
and it's 10 to 11 inches. That means that takes them from melee and launches them back between 30 to 100 feet.
yeah. That's nice.
And then very far is anything more than 12 inches, 12 inches or longer.
Yeah.
Anything about 100 to 300 feet away.
All right, I'm down here to the generate experience, which this looks like basically just backgrounds from what I'm seeing here.
Pretty much. Mine is loading. Yeah, the generate experience is that tracking and stuff
Yeah.
that we were talking about.
Let's make him a swashbuckler. And
So
we'll
that would
take
possibly
that up
come in
to level
handy in like
2.
a hand-to-hand combat thing, or maybe if you try to do something a little bit flashy with your attack, you can say because I'm a swashbuckler, maybe I could do this, and you'd be able to spend the hope and add that proficiency
Yeah.
into it.
And I'll give him the pirate background. Why not? There. I'm not going to level him up and create the character sheet.
All right. Bob is made. Now, I am going to make ginseng.
Oh,
Ginseng,
ginseng.
ginseng is a clank.
Not what I thought you would make, but okay.
Nope. Ginseng is a clank who is let's see. I'm kind of leaning toward Orderborn because that gives me dedicated. Record 3 sayings or values your upbringing instilled in you once per short rest. When you describe how you're embodying one of these principles through your current action, you may roll with a d20 as your hope die instead of a d12.
Ah,
Orderborn it is. And we'll have the 3 sayings as that's where the ranger is going to be. Little nod to Walker Texas Ranger.
mm-hmm.
Then saying 2, let's go with that's how they get you. And saying 3, over my dead body.
That'll work.
As far as a class, realistically, I think he would be best with the Orderborn
Mm-hmm.
as a guardian. So that starting evasion, the domains are Valor and Blade, but the starting evasion score is only a 6. However, the damage thresholds for minor is 6, 11 for major, and 16 for severe.
Yeah. Well, see,
Now
I
I'm
was
going,
thinking Bard almost because you record the sayings.
well, kind of, but as a guardian, a lot of bodyguards in movies and stuff always have these one-liners before they,
I got
you know.
them catchphrases. That makes sense, yeah.
So, also the guardian, once per long rest, you can become unstoppable. Your unstoppable die begins as a D4. Place it on the appropriate spot on the multi-class sheet. That's okay. Okay, that's when you multi-class as a guardian.
Mm-hmm.
You gain resistance to physical damage, add an additional d6 to any damage rolls you make, and can spend stress to reroll any single die you've rolled. Wow.
Nice.
It's actually pretty cool. Guardian it is. For the subclass, let's see here.
They've only got, I got that too.
They've got the Stalwart. When you take this foundation, raise all of your damage thresholds by 2. When you take physical damage, you may spend a hope instead of marking an armor slot to reduce the damage by your armor score. And Vengeance. When you take this foundation, immediately gain an additional armor slot. When you are hit by an enemy in melee range, you can use an armor slot to reduce the damage. Immediately do damage to them equal to your armor value.
Ooh, counterattack.
That's pretty good because I'm not having to use a hope.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Vengeance. Now, the traits that are suggested is a +2 to strength, -1 to finesse, +1 to agility, and +1 to presence. Realistically, I really think that would be okay. I'm going to go with the suggested on that.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good spread for a Guardian.
Now, the suggested weapon for this guy is a battle axe. It's a D10 +2 physical damage. However, because it's two-handed and still considered a primary weapon. I think I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to give him the arcane gauntlets.
I was just looking at that.
I'm going to give him the arcane gauntlets, and as a backup weapon, we're going to do the longsword because it's got the reliable. I guess it would be considered a talent, where I get +1 to attack rolls with that weapon. Now my starting armor, chainmail.
Okay.
I'm going to take that health potion and a secret key for whatever. Now, the interesting thing about the cards for the Guardian is it's got some that are shared in between it and the Warrior because they share the
Yeah, they've got the blade and
they've got the
valor.
blade because
Yeah.
they've got the blade subclass or well, domain. So with bare bones, this would be really good for like a barbarian type build. While this card's in your loadout, if you choose not to wear armor, your armor score is equal to 3 plus double your strength trait.
Ooh.
So you could get a really good strength. Realistically, at level 1, you would have a armor of 7.
Yeah.
Or I could take forceful push. When you make a successful melee attack, you can push the target out of melee range and spend hope to make them temporarily vulnerable. On a success with hope, add an additional 1d6 to your damage dice on the attack. I am your shield. When an ally very close to you is going to take damage, you may mark a stress to stand in its way and take the damage instead. Reduce the damage by a value equal to your strength trait. You may also reduce the damage by spending armor slots. Not good enough. When you roll your damage dice, you may re-roll ones or twos. If you do, you must take the new result, even on a 1 or 2. Retaliation. When you take damage from a creature in melee range, you may mark a stress to immediately deal weapon damage to the creature at half proficiency, rounded up. And Whirlwind. When you make a successful attack using a weapon with melee or very close range, you may also spend a hope to use that roll against every other enemy that in that weapon's range. Any additional enemies you succeed against with this ability take half damage rounded up.
It's not bad.
Realistically, I'm figuring vulnerable is going to be something similar to getting advantage on them.
That or more damage.
So I'm going to take forceful push and I'm going to take not good enough to where it's going to be pretty much the equivalent of great weapon master to where I can re-roll my ones and twos and take the
Yeah.
higher. Hopefully I roll better than that. Now experience, I'm going to be going as a bodyguard. Now +2 to that. And as another experience, I would think I would say incredible strength, seeing as he is a clank. So, I actually get 4 because I'm 5th level. So I'm going to put a 2 in both of those. Now, here's the interesting thing. I'm making a 5th level character.
Mm-hmm.
So at 2nd level, I get to create another experience. So I will go with the noble because of the orderborn. Or no, I will say just because of orderborn. I often relate that to like the justice domain cleric
Yeah.
or the justice domain paladin, whichever one it is, to where justice is a big thing. It also increases my damage threshold in severe by 2. Now, I also get to increase my traits, add an HP slot, add a stress slot, increase my experiences, increase my proficiency, add an armor slot or an evasion, increase the major threshold or increase my minor threshold for damage. I think I'm going to go with traits. and I'm going to increase my strength and my agility. And I get to choose a new domain deck card. And there are new cards available at level 2. So with Reckless, you may always mark a stress to take advantage on an attack roll against a target. Bold Presence, when you make a presence roll against a hostile target, you also add your strength trait to the roll. Body Basher, when you use the full force of your body in the fight. On a successful melee attack, always add your strength trait to the damage roll. A Soldier's Bond. Once per long rest, if you compliment someone or ask them about something they are good at, you may both take 3 hope.
Okay.
And that's the entirety of Daggerheart. That's the background of it. This is not a module run game. This is the people that are playing it along with the DM telling the story.
Yeah.
So for that, I think I'm going to take a Soldier's Bond because I have a feeling there may be something at 3rd level that I could spend that hope on. And I've got one more level up option. I believe I'm going to add an HP slot. Now at 3rd level, my Severe increases by 2 again, and I get more level up options. I can only add an HP slot once up until I think it's at 6th level. You can choose this option again, if I'm not mistaken. But this go around, I'm going to increase my armor slot. Give myself one more armor slot. I get one more domain card. So at 3rd level, Versatile Fighter, you can choose to use the character trait of your choice on an equipped weapon rather than the trait the weapon calls for. When dealing damage, you may mark a stress to take the maximum value of one of your damage die instead of rolling it. Scramble, once per short rest, when an enemy in melee range would deal damage to you, you can avoid the damage entirely and safely move out of melee of the enemy.
It's not bad.
Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Once per long rest, when a character has failed in an action they were attempting, if you console or inspire them, you both clear 2 stress. Critical Inspiration. When you or an ally close to you rolls a critical success on an attack roll, whoever rolled the critical success may immediately clear a hit point or an additional stress. I believe I'll go with Lean on Me to where we can both clear 2 stress.
Yeah.
And as my second level up option, I'm going to increase my minor damage threshold by 1. 4th level, the Severe goes up by 2, and I get 2 more level up options. This time, I'm going to increase my traits again. I can't increase strength again, but I'm going to take that -1 and make it a 0 in finesse and get a 2 in presence. And at 4th level, for the blade, you get Deadly Focus. Once per short rest, you can apply all your focus towards a single target. Choose that target. Until you attack another target, you defeat the creature or the battle ends. Add +1 to your proficiency. Fortified Armor. Increase your armor total by 2 while this card is active in your loadout. Once per short rest, you may use an armor slot without marking it.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's one thing to remember. Not all of these cards are active at the same time. You can only have, I think, 4 active. But you have a vault in which you can pull out and activate them after, I think, downtime.
Yeah.
Go
Downtime is short and long rest where you can switch out your cards.
Yeah. Goad them on. Make a presence roll against the target. On a success, the target takes a stress, and the next time they act, they target you with disadvantage. Support Tank. When an ally close to you fails a roll, you may spend 2 hope to allow them to re-roll either their hope or fear die and take the new result instead. I think this time I'm going to go Fortified Armor because I'm doing a good bit of damage already, I think.
Yeah.
My second level up option, I believe I'm going to add an experience. And I'm going to give +1 to bodyguard and +1 to just. Now, level 5, I get to create my fourth experience, and because I just raised my presence, I'm going to go with Intimidator. I have experience as an Intimidator. I get +2 to major and +4 to severe damage. So my level up options, I can increase my traits once more, so I'm going to do that and raise my strength to a 4 and my agility to a 3. And as my second, I'm going to upgrade a subclass. And as a domain card, at 5th level through Valor, you get Armorer. Your armor score increases by 1 while this ability is in your loadout. During a short rest, if you choose to take the Repair Armor downtime action, everybody in your party also clears 1 additional armor slot.
Oh, that's nice.
Death Toll for the Blade. When you take this card, permanently add 1 additional stress slot and 1 additional HP slot, then place it into your vault permanently. Hero's Strike for the Blade. When you land a critical hit on an attack roll, choose 2 of the following: clear a hit point, clear a marked armor slot, mark +1 hit point on the target of the attack. And Rousing Strike. Once per short rest, when you roll a critical success on an attack roll, you and all allies that can see or hear you may clear a hit point or 1d4 stress. I think realistically I'll go with Armorer.
Yeah, that armor is really nice. Because you're going to be spending a lot of armor slots all the time to reduce your damage.
Now on this it says, where it says upgrade subclass, it says take an upgraded subclass card, then cross out the multi-class option for this tier. Okay. And I figured that's going to be the Armorer is going to be my subclass, upgraded subclass card. And that's it. I am now on my character sheet. So Eric, how does the character sheet look like? What's it like compared to D&D Beyond?
It's similar, but it's really different. Not, well, it's, let's see, how do I put this? It's mainly different because it's got different keywords from D&D. But once you sit and look at it, you can tell, oh yeah, that's what that means. That's what that means. That's what that means. But you got to actually sit down and look at it for a few minutes. You can't just pull it up and look at it for a second and not know what's going on and then leave it. Be like, screw this. I can't do it. You've actually got to look at it for a minute because you've got your evasion, and you, like on D&D Beyond, you click on it and it gives a description of what that means. Evasion's basically your AC. Then you click on the armor. You can use your armor to take 3 damage off the, or three off the hit rolls, which could
I
take
believe
you
so.
down from a severe hit to a major hit, which would knock you down from taking 3 HP off to 2 HP off. You've got your armor slots, which, if you read the armor, then this armor slots is pretty self-explanatory. All your stats are pretty self-explanatory if you know a D&D sheet. Your weapon, you go down to effects and features, your domains, features. It's all like D&D Beyond. You click on the damage roll or the attack roll, and you roll it. It's very simple once you start to get to look at it, and I like it.
Yeah, it's actually got a really good representation and it's got a really good presence on the screen. Now, we were talking about evasion and armor a little bit. Um, evasion is the equivalent of your AC.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your evasion?
Bob has a 9 evasion.
Ginseng is sitting at a 5. What is your
Wow.
armor?
3.
10.
Yeah,
And how many armor slots do you have?
I have 4.
I have 5. Now, granted, this is a 5th level character compared to a 1st level
Yeah,
character.
this is a big difference because max level right now is only level 10.
Yeah. And I believe that's probably going to be how it stays. I would hope so
Probably.
anyway, because I don't think this is going to be a game for those 3 and 4 year campaigns.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be long campaigns. From the way the character sheet, the character creator, and all that set up, it feels like it would be like you play this character for a month or two in a short campaign, then you play another one, then another one.
Yeah.
What is your minor, major, and severe hit?
My minor is 7.
My
Major is
minor's
13. And severe is 26.
my minor's a 2.
Oh no. So let's explain that a little bit. So the idea is your evasion's your AC and your armor is whatever it may be. When you get hit with an attack and they roll, say, against your character Bob, they roll 5 damage.
Mm-hmm.
What is your armor score?
3.
All right. Let's say, okay, instead let's say they roll 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to mark an armor slot to reduce the damage equal to your armor score.
Yep.
And that saves you from taking a hit to your HP.
Yep.
Now, what this means in minor, major, and severe is if you get hit with minor damage, you mark 1 HP slot, 2 for major, and 3 for severe. It doesn't sound too bad until you realize you only start with 6.
Yeah. How much HP do you have at the moment?
7.
Okay, I have 6. I may go in later and take Bob up to a level 5, and then we compare.
Yeah, because the only really difference that I've got compared to you is I was able to add a couple of things here and there, and I raised my strength up a good bit to where I'm dealing some damage. Now the good thing is on this screen, if you click on the name of stuff, so like evasion, each PC has an evasion score. It gives you a full list explanation of what that is and what it does. Like agility is your sprint, dodge, and leap. Strength is lift, smash, and grapple. Finesse, control, hide, tinker. Instinct, perceive, sense, and navigate, pretty much like wisdom. Presence is your charm, perform, and deceive. So charisma and knowledge, recall, analyze, and comprehend. So there's your intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I've got a +3 in bodyguard. So if I was going to try an action to where I was going to say, if I was going to protect somebody from something or something like that, I would spend a hope and get to add +3 to my roll. Now let's talk about a little bit about how hope works. So each time you roll in Daggerheart, you're going to be rolling 2d12. One is considered a hope die and one is considered a fear die. If you do an action roll and you succeed with hope by rolling higher on the hope die, then you gain an extra hope. There's a tracker on the character sheet. You have a maximum of 5, and each time you succeed with hope, you gain a hope. Now, if you success with fear, what that means is you still get the job done, but the DM gets a fear token. And what that means is he doesn't undermine your success, but say you were looting a overturned merchant cart. Because you looted that merchant cart, you made a little bit of noise, and he cashes that fear token in and says, you have alerted some of the nearby wildlife, and there are now 4 wolves approaching you and your companions. ready to attack. The action's still done, but it doesn't undermine you. Now, hope is straight up a currency that represents the way fate can turn in your character's favor, and fear is something similar to that in a way.
Yeah, hope
Now,
sounds like a inspiration dice almost.
I'm going to see if I can get to a point to where it's telling me. I'm going to read just a little bit about fear. So, there's a difference between passing with fear and failing with fear, right?
Hmm.
So when you roll your duality dice and the fear die rolls higher than the hope die, you roll with fear. When this happens, even if you succeed on your action roll, there are consequences or complications that come from it, like the wolves being alerting to your presence.
Yeah.
So the GM, where hope is a PC's core resource, fear is the core resource of the GM. You can gain fear each time a PC gets a result with fear, and you can spend fear in a number of ways. You can track fear tokens in a pool, a die, or other counting methods. It can be useful to keep your fear tracking or the fear pool visible to yourself and the players for ease of reference. And the GM begins a campaign with 2 fear, just like PCs begin with 2 hope, and they can never hold more than 10 fear. You carry fear in between sessions, just like PCs do hope, so be sure to note how many you've got. Now, the duality dice, let's see if I can figure this out. Do, 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 do. Okay, here we go. This is under step 4 of the action roll, and it's got a it's got a breakdown of the okay. On a critical success, after the DM has set a difficulty, whether it be 10, 15, or 20,
Hmm.
or whatever number it is, on a critical success, you get what you want and a little extra. Take a hope and clear a stress. If you made an attack roll, you'll also deal extra damage equal to the maximum value of your damage dice.
Hmm.
That's nice. It's not a double. It's a if you roll an attack and you crit, if your damage die is a D8, then you roll your D8 and then add an 8 to
Hmm.
the damage. On a success with hope, you pull it off well and get what you want, take a hope. On a success with fear, you get what you want, but it comes with a cost or consequence. On a failure with a hope, things don't go to plan. You probably don't get what you want and must face the consequence, but you still get a hope. On a failure with fear, things go very poorly. You probably didn't get what you want, and there's a major consequence or complication because of that.
Hmm.
Additionally, the GM takes a fear. So it could, if you fell with fear, it could really screw you over. Like,
Yeah.
really screw you over. But yeah, I mean, as far as creating the character, ridiculously easy.
Oh yeah. I'm
Like,
I'm upgrading to level 5 right now. I'm bringing Bob up to level 5 so we can
compare and
compare.
contrast. All right. Now, one thing that's really interesting is everything that you need is right here on the front page.
Yeah.
There's no page swapping like it is in D&D because there's just a lot less information to try and take in all at once, to be completely honest. And that's not a knock against D&D because Dungeons and Dragon is a much more mechanically heavy game.
Yeah.
This game seems to be it's all in your mind, you tell it as you go. There's nowhere near the number of mechanics in this, it seems anyway.
Yeah.
And this is before our this is before our full review to where we're not really gaining a whole lot.
Okay,
But
let's look at Bob at 5th level.
All right, and we'll go over the active. We'll let's go over what we're going to have active at our 5th level characters as well too.
Okay.
So my evasion and armor were 5 and 10, and I have
Hmm.
5 armor slots.
Okay, I have 10 evasion now and 3 armor still, and 4 armor slots.
Okay, how's your minor, major, and severe thresholds looking?
Minor still a 2, major went up to a 9, severe went up to a 21.
That's actually really good.
Yeah.
So I would rather you, much like you probably, I would rather you lose 1 HP than easily
Hmm.
lose 2 or 3. Did you raise your stats any?
Uh, see, I've got a +3 to knowledge, +1 to presence, 1 to instinct, 1 to finesse, 0 strength, and 0 to agility.
That's pretty good. I've got a 4 in my strength, a 3 in my agility, and a 2 in my presence. But it's because I've got the intimidator experience, and it might
Yeah,
even play into like bodyguard.
possibly, yeah. And I did take my HP up by 1 to a 7.
Oh, that's good. Now, the were there any changes to like your spells? Did the damage go up with that as you leveled up,
Let's see.
or your
Uh,
technically abilities?
my elemental breath went up to a 2d8 instead of just a single d8.
That's nice.
Uh, my power push is now a 2d10.
That's nice.
That is very nice. The ice spikes is 2d6. Uh,
So everything does upgrade as you level up.
yeah,
That's
they
nice.
go up. Yeah.
That's really nice. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that we're starting off. We still have our starting equipment. If you come into the equipment tab and go to manage equipment, you can look at different bows and stuff.
Oh yeah, your uh magic items and stuff.
Now, the arcane gauntlets are they're considered a like magical weapon 0 pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, if I was to swap to something like I want to stick with a two-handed gauntlet. If I was going to go with advanced arcane gauntlets, that would take my damage rolls from a D10 plus 2 to a D10 plus 6.
Mm-hmm.
The improved would be a D10 plus 4, and legendary is a D10 plus 8. There are some weapons, like I had created a ranger at one point. The gilded bow is D8 plus 4, and somewhere along the line, my ranger was doing 3d8 with that bow.
Good lord.
I'm not 100% sure how I pulled that off because I wasn't really paying attention, to be completely honest.
Well,
But
see, right now my starting great staff, it's a +3 for the knowledge, and it's a 2d6 plus 2.
now it's not just weapons, there's also armor.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go with something like dragon scale armor if you find it. The base score is 6, but the feature is impenetrable. When you mark an armor slot, you cannot fill your last hit point slot as the result of physical damage.
Oh.
It keeps you from dying. The and there's 3 pages of armor.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Let's see if I can find something a bit ridiculous. Oh, here we go. Improve the tower shield. Add +5 to your armor score, -2 to your invasion, but it's an improved to tower shield, and you can use it as a weapon to deal d6 plus 2 physical damage.
That's pretty cool.
There's the shield bearer.
I've found I like this armor right here, the Ember Woven armor. It's a base score of 7, but its feature is burning. When an enemy strikes you in melee, they immediately mark a stress.
Here's something that this would be really good for a rogue or even a ranger. Tyrus soft armor, base score of 5, and the feature is quiet, +2 to any rolls to make you move without being heard.
Oh.
Oh, Valor Stone. Attach it to an armor. You get resilient. Before you mark your last armor slot, roll a d6. On a 6, you use the armor without marking the slot.
That's nice.
That's actually really cool. Save your chainmail feature. Oh, wow. Base score of 16.
Holy cow.
Difficult is the feature. -1 to all character traits.
I mean, if I was a tank, I would probably take that still.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially if you were up to 10th level.
Yeah,
That could
because
give me a -1 and everything.
you're already at least +1s on everything by then.
Oh, I found one that you would probably like for Bob. The Chiroclast. Base score of 7. Shatter Shard. When marking armor slots, deal 1d10 magic damage to the attacker per armor mark. This armor cannot be repaired. So if you wanted to build something to where you get that and it's like, okay, I'm going to use this in this really big fight that I know it's going to happen, because
Yeah.
you can mark as many armor slots as you want as once.
Mm-hmm.
You can mark however many it takes. Say it's a big guy and they do like 60 damage. You mark all of them.
Yeah.
You mark all your armor slots, and then you do however many d10 damage per slot. This game is starting to look very good.
This is bringing me back to video games where you hoard a bunch of armors for specific fights, armors
Yeah.
and weapons. You're like, I'm gonna keep this armor for a rainy day when I fight such and such down the road. And you get to the boss fight and be like, let me switch armors real quick. Let me switch my weapon real quick. All right, I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh, I got that +1 experience because no, wait, never mind. For the Clank ancestry, I got purposeful design. So decide who you were created by and for what purpose. And when you generate your experiences at character creation, choose one that reflects this purpose and add +1 to it.
Okay.
That's why I got an extra 1 to my experiences. So what if before we wrap up, let's end on what domain effects we have active at 5th level, even though we know it's not going to really matter because we're not going to actually use these characters unless we get somebody to run a 5th level session.
I don't know. It's looking pretty good. Bob's looking pretty good.
I'm really liking ginseng too. So right now I've got forceful push. That's where when you make a successful attack, a melee attack, you can push the enemy out of melee range and spend the hope to make them temporarily vulnerable. Let me see if I can find what vulnerable is. Yep, it is advantage. When they're vulnerable,
Oh,
it means all attacks have advantage.
nice.
I also have active, if it'll load.
Oh, did you look at what your the what was it that you added to your subclass at level 5?
Yeah, that it just when I upgraded my subclass, it took away the multi-class feature, but I did get unstoppable. So once per long rest, I can become unstoppable, and the die begins
Oh
as a
yeah,
D4.
yeah.
Yeah, so I gain resistance to physical damage. I add an additional D6 to any damage rolls I make, and can spend stress to reroll any single die. Anytime you roll your damage dice, reduce the unstoppable die value by 1. At level 3, upgrade your unstoppable die to a D6. 7th level, upgrade it to a D8. So right now, I've got a D6 for my unstoppable die. So that means six times for my damage dice. I get to add another D6.
Hmm. I did the same thing. I upgraded my subclass. Uh, it says when you concentrate to maintain a protective barrier of magic to protect you, while you have at least 3 hope, you can add your spellcast trait to your evasion.
That's actually really good.
Yeah. That would take, let's see, spellcast trait. Where's that at? Not knowledge is my spellcast trait. Yes. So that would be I would have a 13 evasion then.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I've still got not good enough active to where I can reroll any ones or twos.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I've got armor active to where my armor score increases by 1 while it's in my loadout. And when I choose to take the repair armor downtime, everybody clears an additional armor slot. I still got lean on me, where when I console them or inspire them after like, no, don't worry about this, buddy, or you got it, dude. It's
Mm-hmm.
no problem. We both clear 2 stress. And fortified armor, it increases my armor total by 2 while this card is active in my loadout. And once per short rest, I may use an armor slot without marking it.
Yeah.
And what's in my vault is a soldier's bond, and that is if we over a long rest, if I compliment someone or ask them about something they're good at, we both get to take 3 hope, which is actually really cool.
That's pretty nice. Let's see. I've got a couple extra ones myself. I've got the Book of Satil, which is it's got adjust appearance. You can magically shift your appearance and clothing to avoid recognition. Parallelia. I have no idea. Spend a hope to cast this spell on yourself or one ally close to you. The next time that creature makes an attack, they can split the damage between any targets in range.
Wow.
And then
That's actually pretty
illusion
good.
on that is make a spellcast roll of 14 on a success, create a temporary visual illusion no larger than you within close range that will last as long as you look at it. It holds up to scrutiny until observer is in within melee range. So it makes an illusion. And then
That's
I've
pretty
got
good.
second wind. Once per short rest, when you make a successful strike against an enemy, you may clear 3 stress or 1 hit point. On a
Wow, that's actually really
success,
good.
on a success with hope, you may also clear 3 stress or 1 hit point of an ally who is in close range of you.
That's really good.
That's really good.
Can you imagine Ginseng and Bob up there beside each other?
That would be nice. And I've got the Book of Exodia. It gives me counterspell. Make a spellcast roll against a magical effect or spell that is about to happen within close range. On a success, the GM will tell you how many stress you can spend to end it.
Huh.
And it's got a create construct. Spend a hope to choose a group of objects around you and create an animated construct from them that obeys basic commands. When it acts, roll an amount of d6 equal to your knowledge trait and pick the highest result. On a 6, it succeeds. On a 3 to 5, it succeeds but with complications. On a 2 to 1, or when it takes damage, it returns to raw material. Its attacks deal 2d10 physical damage, and you can only hold 1 construct at a time.
Huh. That's
So I
actually
can make a
pretty cool.
pet.
That's actually
And
really cool.
it is pretty good. And in my vault, I have Smite. Spend 3 hope to charge up a powerful smite. On your next successful attack, double your proficiency on the damage roll, and this attack deals magic damage, regardless of the weapon's damage type.
So, as a quick explanation of proficiency, your proficiency reflects how skilled you are at wielding a weapon. You'll start at
Mm-hmm.
1, then have the opportunity to permanently increase this value to a maximum of 6 over the course of a campaign. Weapons fall into 2 main categories, primary and secondary. Let's see where it actually says something about. Okay, as you gain levels, you increase your weapon proficiency, which starts at 1. Unless otherwise specified, you roll a number of weapon dice equal to your proficiency. That's what it is. The higher your proficiency, the more damage you do.
Yep.
Yep. The more proficiency you have, the more damage you do. So for each proficiency that you have, you add an extra die of your weapon's damage type. So if I had a proficiency of 4 with my arcane gauntlets, I would be dealing 4d10 plus 2 damage.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's actually really good. That's cool. That's
See,
awesome.
right now my active weapon proficiency is 2.
So you
So
would
I would
technically
be,
be dealing 2d8.
well, 2d6. Yeah.
Yeah, 2d6. So you're dealing 2d6. Yeah, that's actually really good.
Yeah.
And of course, we could always later, before we do the full review, take them up into a 10th level and max them out and up our proficiencies and just do a ridiculous amount of damage.
Oh, yes. Because
But
that's what, up to 6 dice rolls.
yeah,
Up to 6 dice per damage. God. And some of them weapons got, what, a d10 damage?
yes.
I think 6 d10 damage on a great axe. Good lord.
Okay, so stress reflects your ability to withstand the pressures of dangerous situations. This includes mental and emotional strain, as well as the physical discomfort that comes from avoiding the dire blows of battle. You can describe your hit points and stress any way you wish, but they generally represent your character's ability to get knocked down and keep coming back.
Okay,
So,
so
and
it's
in the
almost like an
damage and
insanity roll.
kind of in a way, in the damage and hit points section of part 2, you'll learn how many hit points to mark on your character sheet each time the GM tells you to take damage. So this is something to where you'll it's still kind of unclear as to exactly what stress is and what it does if you're maxed out on stress or if you're maxed out, you know. So we'll be sure to get a better understanding of that before we do our full review because we're going to be doing a good bit of play testing on this to where we can try to understand this as closely as possible.
I just found something.
What's that?
There's a, on your hit points and stress, there's a damage calculator. You type in how much damage you took, the raw damage, say, I'm going to say 24. Well, yeah, let's say 24 damage. And then it's down below that, you've got usable armor slots. Say I want to use 2 armor slots. And then down below that, damage after taking damage after armor would be 18. So the final outcome is marked 2 hit points.
Huh. See, mine, when I put 24 in, my final outcome would be mark 2 hit points. But if I apply my resistance with my armor, well, if I apply my resistance from my unstoppable, it takes it down to 1. And if I use my armor, I take none. But I mark 1 stress.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually really interesting. I like that they put that in there.
Yeah, it simplifies it for people that maybe not used to tabletop games,
Yeah.
role playing
And
games.
this is probably going to be something similar because I tried to make one on paper and it
Mm-hmm.
was really confusing. Just like when I first tried to make a D&D character on paper, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Used D&D Beyond for a while and then I got to where I could do it on paper.
yeah,
So this is actually a really great tool, and I'm so happy that Demi Plane worked with Darrington Press to get this up and readily available with the open beta.
yeah. I'm
And
glad
for the
they done the online. They're doing the online at the start of it.
well, for those of you that don't know, if you have Tabletop Simulator on PC, there is already in the God, what's it called? The workshop. Somebody has already put something in with a full setup for people to go in and play test Daggerheart if you can't get to a face-to-face setting.
Yep, I saw
You
that
have to.
earlier, and I've already added it.
Yep. And that's what we're going to be doing this week. We're going to be extending our displays on our PCs. We're going to be using this demiplane.com and using Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Oh, it's going to be a ridiculous amount of fun, I think. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode for what little bit of information we were giving you. There's going to be a lot more to come with our thoughts and our final thoughts on this open beta, what's available and how it's playing.
Yeah, and
And in
if you're still confused about this, go back and replay this and do a character of your own while you're going through it,
And
while you're
also,
listening.
also go and watch the video that Matt Mercer and the co-creator of the game made on
Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah.
and watch Matt Mercer and Travis Willingham build Travis's character, Bertram Bell, because it's extremely informational. But until that point, keep rolling high with hope during this playtest, and we'll see you in the next one.